Discover how a millionaire CEO's incredible act transformed a freezing nurse's life in one night. Emily clutched her stethoscope, teeth chattering against the cold seeped into her small apartment. As a nurse, she felt empowered, yet the icy chill sent shivers down her spine. She trudged through the crowded corridors of the hospital, where life and death danced hand in hand each day. Her heart was heavy with the weight of her patients' stories, their struggles echoing in her mind. Each night shift blurred into the next, filled with beeping machines and the whir of gurneys. She lacked the warmth of a loving home, just as she fought the bitter winter. Nights felt endless, often returning to her worn-down space with its unreliable heater and too tight budget. She felt invisible, as though her sacrifices faded into the shadows. Meanwhile, Jack, a millionaire CEO, stood at the crossroads of achievement and emptiness. The glittering lights of the charity gala had felt hollow tonight. Outside, a storm unfurled from the sky, thick snow blanketing the world in a blanket of white. He stepped into the chill, fully aware of the warmth of his luxury car waiting for him just steps away. Yet, fate had a twist. Wrought in snowflakes, his vehicle sputtered and gave up the ghost. Frustration flooded him as he trudged into the blizzard, feeling more vulnerable than ever. As snow drifted around him like ghosts, Jack locked eyes with Emily, who was off shift, rushing to her car. Time stood still as they shared a moment under the swirling storm. She looked worn but fierce. Her eyes sparkled with passion as she recounted tales from the hospital, of laughter amidst heartbreak, reminders of human resilience. "I go to work like it's my calling," she shared, voice raised just enough to pierce through the gusting wind. "You don't know what you're missing," she continued, unwittingly giving voice to the struggles faced by the working class, the sacrifices they made while the wealthy dined at expensive tables. Jack's heart twinged, her words cut deeper than he expected. He offered the warmth of his car, her surprised expression thawing the icy silence hovering between them. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As they settled into the car for refuge, walls of snow swirling outside, Jack was overcome by a profound realization. Here was a woman single-handedly holding her world together, yet living on the edge. They laughed and cried, human connection sparking amidst their clashing realities. Just as Jack began to envision a life of greater purpose, a misunderstanding about his intentions shattered the cozy atmosphere. Fear crept in, complicating what had become a sweet connection. Staring through the frosted windows, Emily felt hope flicker. Jack examined her, questioning everything he thought he knew about success and meaning. Would they rise above their differences, or would the thunderous storm outside mirror the turmoil within? The cold wind howled like a distant call, leaving them brimming with questions about compassion and connection, poised on the edge of transformation. But with each heartbeat, uncertainty loomed. Could they face the night ahead, and what might dawn bring? Emily watched the snow swirl outside, her breath fogging the window, each frost-kissed breath a reminder of the warmth she had long craved. She turned toward Jack, curiosity weaving between them like the snowflakes that danced outside. His presence filled the car, a blend of chaos and calm, igniting a spark of hope amidst her heartache. "Why did you really offer me this?" she asked, her tone laced with hesitation. Jack hesitated, momentarily caught off guard. "I just wanted to help," he replied, trying to dispel the tension. His voice was steady, though uncertainty crept in quietly. "Yeah, but help can come in many forms," she replied, her words sharp yet soft, reflecting the walls she had built around herself. The echoes of her struggles brimmed just below the surface, spilling into the warmth of the car. "Is that what you think? That I'm just some rich guy playing savior?" Jack's frustration surfaced. "I know what it's like to feel out of control, believe me." Emily searched his eyes. Was he trying to connect, or was he merely trying to clear his conscience? I don't need saving, she said. I just want a fair chance. His gaze held hers, a silent question lancing through the space separating them. Could he understand her struggle? Could he transcend his privilege to see the world through her eyes? The world outside the car had transformed into a frozen wonderland, but inside, emotions ran hot and raw. Jack leaned back, processing his life, his decisions. Money had never bought him fulfillment, it had only isolated him from the real passions of life, the kind Emily carried with every patient she treated. What do you want? He finally asked, his voice barely above a whisper. She paused, mouth agape, as if revealing her deepest dreams might shatter the delicate connection they were forging. I want to feel valued for what I do. To not worry about every penny. Tears threatened to spill as she shifted in her seat, her voice quivering. To know that I matter. He felt the weight of her confession resonate in his chest. He had built his empire on numbers, disregarding the very humans bringing those numbers to life. Jack's heart ached as he realized he barely understood the sacrifices that went unnoticed in a world obsessed with wealth. Maybe we can find a way for both of us to matter. The words tumbled from his lips before he could think twice. It was a proposal, a carving out of common ground. An apprehensive smile flickered on Emily's lips, but doubt lingered. You mean, like a charity? Something quick to appease your conscience. Why should I trust you? He flinched slightly but pressed on. No, I'm serious. I want to understand your world not just today, but what it truly means for you. I want to help build something real together. The intensity in his voice wrapped around her, igniting a vulnerable spark of hope. Was it possible? Could they be more than what their lives dictated, more than just a millionaire and a nurse caught in a freak storm? The warmth of the moment gave way to the chill outside as silence settled between them, the weight of their unspoken fears and desires cresting like a wave about to crash. Emily found herself staring back into his eyes, a deep well of uncertainty and longing swirling within. As thick snow blanketed the world, the tiniest flicker of possibility ignited. Jack leaned closer, ready to bridge the gap, but the storm outside roared louder, demanding attention. Would they weather the night together, or would the realities of their vastly different lives pull them apart? With their hearts poised on the edge of transformation, uncertainty still lingered. The night loomed heavy with questions. Could dreams born under a storm take flight? What would tomorrow hold if they took that leap? The snow continued to swirl, an ethereal dance of white flakes creating an almost magical atmosphere, yet buttons of tension tightened inside the car. Jack could feel the heat of Emily's vulnerability mingling with the frost outside. He had blurted his intentions, and now a vulnerable silence spread between them like the snow blanketing the world beyond the glass. The weight of their conversation hung heavy in the air. Emily's heart raced. What did it mean for Jack to want to understand her world? No one had truly tried to delve into her life aside from her closest friends, and even then, they only skimmed the surface. The very notion felt foreign and exciting, yet overwhelming. Would this lead to disappointment? Was she setting herself up for more heartache? Can you really do that? She asked, her voice trembling slightly. Understand my world? I want to, Jack replied, his tone earnest, all traces of previous frustration gone. I want to learn what it looks like from your side of the glass. I want to know what really matters to you. His words hung in the air, a soft invitation, a promise intertwined with uncertainty. Emily felt the icy grip of the storm outside mingle with the warmth of his gaze. Was this the breakthrough she had longed for in both her career and her life? If you truly want this, then it has to be real, she said, a hint of determination emerging. Not some charity project or publicity stunt. It has to be genuine. Yes, Jack nodded, earnestness radiating from him. I promise it will be. But let us focus on tonight. We're stuck together for a while. Let us find out if we can really learn from each other. A flicker of excitement danced in Emily's chest. Okay, let us try. The flurry outside had slowed, casting gentle shadows on the snowy landscape. Jack turned the engine back on, and they made their way out of the birch-lined road toward a nearby diner, the only place that might offer warmth and respite in the heart of the storm. As they drove, the landscape transformed. Twinkling lights from houses dotted the horizon like stars against the dark sky. It felt surreal, every mile melting away their fears, if only just a little. Emily glanced at Jack, who was focused on the road, yet the tension in him had lessened. "Tell me about your work," he broke the silence, a sense of genuine curiosity coloring his voice. "What do you find most fulfilling?" She hesitated for a moment, crafting the entry to this part of her heart she usually shielded. "Honestly, seeing my patients light up when I help them. When they start to feel better, it feels like I've made a difference. It's not just a job, it's like a calling." Jack nodded, captivated. "That sounds incredible. You're literally changing lives." "I try," she said, her cheeks warming with the compliment. "But it also comes with heavy burdens. There are days I feel like I'm drowning in demands and stress, where I'm just one person trying to be everything to everyone." He frowned, the gravity of her words landing in the car. "And no one sees that, right? They just see the surface, the paycheck, the easy life." "Exactly," she replied, her heart racing at the shared understanding. "But I want to be more than what others perceive of me. I want to break through those expectations." As they parked in front of the diner, Jack turned to her. "Then let us do that together." They shared a moment of understanding, worlds colliding. But as they stepped into the warmth, they were greeted by laughter and the clattering of dishes, reminders of a world filled with most moments they may barely touch. Emily felt a swell of hope, yet uncertainty lurked in her mind. What if they couldn't bridge the gap that life had built between them? What if this was just a fleeting moment? As they sat down, orders placed, the topic of their conversation pivoting to lighter shadows of laughter, one question lingered in Emily's mind. Could they truly forge a bond that cut through their vastly different lives? With her heart beating rapidly, she glanced at him across the table. What awaited them as they journeyed into this unknown territory together? The warmth of the diner enveloped them, a stark contrast to the howling wind outside. Emily slid into the booth, feeling the soft vinyl against her back, while Jack took the seat opposite her. Bright neon lights flickered through the windows, casting playful hues across their faces. Laughter echoed around them, yet their bubble of conversation felt like a world apart. "Did you ever imagine ending up in a place like this?" Jack asked, stirring his cup of coffee, watching the steam rise with curiosity. "Not really. But it has its charm," she replied, giving a small smile. "It reminds me of home, the comfort of warmth when everything outside is cold." Jack leaned in, intrigued. "What was your home like? What drew you to nursing?" Emily took a breath, the memories flooding her mind. "Growing up, I always saw the struggle people faced. I'd watch my parents care for neighbors who fell on hard times, often offering food or help when needed. There was something powerful in giving back. It felt right to be a part of that." As she spoke, Jack's expression turned thoughtful. "That's beautiful. It sounds like you had a strong foundation. You learned empathy early on." "Yeah, but it also set high expectations for me. I couldn't just dive in without wanting to make a difference. But sometimes it feels like I'm running a marathon, always working, never catching my breath." The honesty seemed to flow effortlessly now. Jack nodded, absorbing her words as if he were piecing together a puzzle. "And you feel like you're missing that breath, huh?" She nodded slowly. "There are days I wonder if it's all worth it. When I pour myself into others but feel empty at the end of the day." His gaze softened. "But that's what makes you special, Emily. You care." A silence settled, yet it was comforting, the kind of stillness where mutual understanding thrived. Emily felt lighter, as if layers of pressure were drifting away. She wanted to dive deeper but felt a lingering caution. What if his desire to understand faded when the night slipped away like the melting snow outside? "Okay, your turn," she said, breaking the moment. "What drives you? What is your story, Jack?" He smiled, leaning back against the booth. "Honestly, I didn't take the traditional path. I stumbled a lot. My family owns a business, but I wanted to build my own. I wanted to make a name based on my hard work, not just on my last name." They exchanged stories, layers peeling away as they found flickers of shared experiences, a struggle for identity, a desire to be more than a label. It was as if they were building a bridge with each moment, yet the fear of what awaited on the other side loomed like an unseen shadow. As their meals arrived, Emily looked at Jack, a million questions racing through her mind. What if her life couldn't fit into his world? What if this was just a momentary connection, never to be revisited? Suddenly, the door swung open, and the clatter of spattered snow into the diner interrupted her thoughts. A woman entered, soaking wet and shivering, seeking a haven from the storm. The sight ignited something in Emily, a pang of recognition. "Jack, look at her," she whispered, nodding toward the woman. "She needs help." Without waiting for Jack's response, Emily stood up, her instincts kicking in. She approached the stranger, ready to provide warmth and compassion, her heart rushing back to why she had chosen nursing. In that fleeting moment, she felt a spark reignite within her. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice full of concern. But as she reached out, something in the woman's eyes startled her. It was a flicker of familiarity, something deep and unrecognizable. As Emily leaned closer, her breath caught in her throat. Who was this woman and why did she feel so connected? The diner grew quiet, anticipation thick in the air. What revelation awaited her, and could this link unravel the tapestry of her life headed in a new direction? Emily's heart raced as she scrutinized the woman before her. The storm outside faded into the background, and time seemed to slow. There was a serious intensity in the stranger's gaze, a hidden story waiting to be told. "Are you?" Emily hesitated. "Was it possible? Do I know you?" The woman's eyes darted, flickering with a hint of recognition. "I don't think so. But I have something to tell you." Her voice was shaky, barely above a whisper, yet it drew everyone's attention in the diner. Jack, still seated, shifted forward, concern etched on his face. "Maybe we should get her a hot drink or something." "Emily, no, just wait," Emily interrupted gently, fully aware of the gravity of the moment. "What is your name?" "Lily," the woman responded. Her lips quivered as she took a deep breath. I just came from town. I heard something about you." "What do you mean?" Emily's curiosity mixed with apprehension. Lily glanced around the diner, her gaze momentarily lost in the bustling atmosphere, and then boldly met Emily's eyes again. "I was told that you've been helping others, putting them before yourself. There's a reason I'm here. But I'm just doing my job." Emily felt a warmth spread from her chest, a mixture of embarrassment and bewilderment. Jack sensed the tension and stood, ready to support Emily. "Maybe we should take this somewhere quieter, no?" Lily's voice rang out, and the diner quieted even more. "I need to say this now. Emily, you don't just heal the people who come to you. You inspire. There are people who care about you, you just don't see it enough." Emily took a step back, her mind racing. Was Lily truly talking about her? In a world where she constantly felt invisible, this stranger was seeing her, really seeing her. "Why do you think that?" Emily asked, vulnerability spilling into her voice. "I know what it feels like to struggle to feel alone," Lily began, her own voice thick with emotion. "But I lost someone who cared about me deeply. And before he left, he reminded me of the importance of connection, of seeing each other. It's why I'm here tonight." The weight of Lily's words struck Emily hard. It felt like they twisted around her heart, tugging at a truth she had buried. She remembered the nights she felt tired and overlooked, pouring everything she had into her patients while longing for someone to see her own pain. "So you're saying someone saw me?" Emily whispered, half in disbelief. Lily stepped closer, her eyes alive with intensity. "Yes. Your kindness doesn't go unnoticed. I've seen the impact you have on those around you. It matters, and it's time for you to acknowledge it." Jack watched, captivated by the unfolding scene, sensing the electric connection between the two women. He stayed silent, giving them space. It was a moment he felt he should not intrude upon. As the snowstorm howled outside, a soft warmth enveloped Emily, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Maybe there was hope after all. "I don't know why I feel this way," Emily began, her voice barely escaping. "But I'm scared of what comes next. I don't know if I've got it in me to keep going." Lily's gaze softened, the weight of their shared anguish palpable. "Then let me help you. There's a community of people who want to support you. You're not meant to carry this alone anymore." Emily felt tears prick her eyes, not from sadness but from a deep-seated relief she had never anticipated. This unexpected connection was pulling at the very fabric of her being. "Can I really?" she dared to ask, vulnerability washing over her like a tide. A new sense of determination washed over Lily. "Yes, you can. You deserve to be seen." But just as the air between them started to shift into a bond, the chime of the diner door rang out again, louder this time. A tall figure entered, shaking off snowflakes, his eyes locking on Emily with an intensity that shifted the atmosphere once more. Who was this new arrival? And what did he want from Emily? The warmth of hope flickered brightly in the air, but would it stay lit against approaching storms? Emily's gaze shifted to the door, her heart pounding in her chest. The man who had just entered was striking tall, with dark hair slicked back and a sharp suit that seemed out of place in the cozy diner. His expression was serious, as if he were already in a battle, and yet his eyes were fierce, searching. "Emily!" he called, his voice cutting through the murmurs that had returned after Lily's powerful revelation. Its urgency drew the attention back to him like a magnet. Lily, sensing the change, moved slightly in front of Emily, defensive yet curious. "Do you know him?" she murmured, her eyes narrowed. Emily stood frozen, grappling with the sudden mix of emotions racing through her. Who was this man? And why did his presence feel both alarming and oddly familiar? "Hey, he started again, taking a step closer, but a wave of voices rushed through the diner, muffling him momentarily. Jack moved to Emily's side, his protective instincts kicking in. "Do you know him? Should we be worried?" he whispered, concern etched in every feature. No. Emily shook her head slightly, her eyes still fixed on the newcomer. There was a flicker of recognition in her mind, but it was obscured by confusion. The man continued, "I've been looking for you." His voice was firm, cutting through the buzz of chatter and clinking dishes. The way he said it sent chills down her spine. "I need to talk to you about the clinic." Emily's pulse quickened. The clinic, the place that had become her second home, where she poured her heart and soul into her patients. "What about it?" she replied, a blend of curiosity and caution dense in her tone. He took another cautious step forward, the room shrinking around them as he commanded everyone's attention. "They're in trouble. I know you don't have all the resources you need to keep it running. I want to help." Shock settled over Emily, paralyzing her for a moment. Help? From him? She didn't even know who he was. Just moments ago, she had been on the verge of forging a new emotional connection with Lily, and now this stranger tossed a lifebuoy into her stormy sea. "The clinic?" Jack interjected sharply. "What do you know about it?" His protective stance remained, a silent barrier between Emily and this mysterious man. The man looked between them, clearly weighing his words carefully. "I'm James Carter," he said, finally offering his hand to Emily. "I'm the CEO of Carter Enterprises. We've been associated with the funding for healthcare initiatives in the area. Right now, the clinic is on the verge of shutting down, but I refuse to let that happen if I can do something about it. Emily felt like she'd been punched in the gut. She remembered hearing his name before, always linked with wealth and influence. But how could he possibly care about her clinic? More importantly, why had he come now? Just when she was beginning to embrace the warmth of Lily's words and the promise of change. "What's in it for you?" she managed to ask, trying to muster strength against rising doubt. "Nothing. Why do you think I'm here?" His voice softened, revealing a depth of sincerity she hadn't expected. "I was once where you are now. Alone, fighting for something I thought was impossible. But I had help when I needed it most. I want to give that back." The room seemed to hold its breath, the weight of his words resting heavy on Emily's shoulders. Could she really trust him? Could she let this stranger into her world when she had spent so long building walls around herself? But before she could respond, the door opened yet again, letting in a gust of wind that caught everyone's attention. An older woman, bundled in layers of coats, shuffled in, her cheeks flushed from the cold. She paused, her gaze sweeping the diner before settling on Emily and the group gathered near the counter. "Is this Emily Hayes?" the woman called, her voice cracking through the chatter. "I need your help. My husband he's in trouble." Emily's heart plummeted. The warmth she had just begun to hold was swept aside in an instant, leaving only the biting edge of fear and responsibility. The storm outside had not relented. It was more than just a weather phenomenon, it was a metaphor for the chaos in her own life. "Quickly," the woman urged, panic in her eyes. What would Emily do now? The choice surged to the surface: the clinic, the piercing connection with Lily, and now this urgent plea. Could she balance the weight of it all? Could she accept help, or would she continue to struggle alone? The storm outside wasn't the only tempest she faced. As her heart raced, wonder draped over the diner anew. How could a kind stranger help stand against everything crashing in on her? In that moment, all connections seemed fragile. What steps would Emily take next in the face of unraveling chaos? And would she find the strength to accept help, or would the storm within consume her? Emily felt the weight of expectation settle on her shoulders like a heavy blanket. The woman's desperate eyes held her captive, urging her to make a decision. She glanced at James, who had retreated into the background, leaving space for her to process the flooding emotions. The room blurred around her as the urgency of the moment tightened its grip. "Let us go," she said, the words spilling out before she could second-guess herself. Clarity cut through the chaos, grounding her. If someone needed her help, she couldn't turn her back. Emily moved toward the older woman, who grabbed her arm, as if afraid she might disappear. Thank you." The woman's voice trembled, and her face reflected a deep well of worry. "He's at home, but I..." The words caught in her throat, a surge of panic overtaking her. With Jack and Lily following closely behind, Emily guided them all toward the door. The chilly wind clashed against her, reminding her of everything that had led her to this moment: the clinic, the challenges, her heartaches. But most of all, it reminded her of the compassion that had revealed itself just moments before. As they stepped outside, James approached, his presence imposing yet softened by the urgency of their situation. "I can drive you. I've got a car just out back," he offered, his voice steady, a stark contrast to the whirlwind chaos tugging at Emily's heart. "No time," she shot back, breathless with determination. "Let's just go." They hurried down the street, the sound of their shoes hitting the pavement punctuating the urgency in the air. The woman explained between ragged breaths, her husband had fallen sick, something about a sugar episode that seemed serious. Emily felt her stomach tighten. She had seen too many emergencies like this in her years working at the clinic. "I can help him," Emily assured the woman, desperation fueling her pace. She thought of her training, her practice, the deep commitment she held for her patients. "We just need to make sure we get him to Emily." Jack's voice cut through her thoughts. She turned to see him standing a few steps behind, his brow furrowed in concern. Are you sure about this? She hesitated only for a moment. I have to be. As they rounded a corner, the woman's home came into view, nothing more than an old building with peeling paint, but it stood resolute against the wind. They rushed up the steps as the woman fumbled for her keys, her hands shaking so much that it took multiple tries before the door swung open with a creak. Inside, the air was thick with the smell of something burnt and the weight of worry. A frail figure lay on the couch, eyes closed, breath shallow. Emily's heart raced. She stepped forward instinctively, her training kicking in as she crouched beside the man. She could feel the heat radiating from his skin, a troubling sign. "Where's your medical kit?" Emily asked quickly, her voice firm. The woman's hand flitted toward a small cabinet in the corner. As the woman scrambled for supplies, Emily's mind raced through the scenarios. She could feel a knot forming in her throat, the weight of this moment, the desperation in the woman's eyes. It shook her to the core. She thought of James outside, of the clinic, and the way things had been shifting. Just then, a soft voice emerged from the couch. "Am I dead?" The man's eyes fluttered open, confusion washing over his features. "No, you're not," Emily spoke softly, focusing on him, trying to keep her voice calm despite the whirlwind. "You've got to stay with us." She could almost hear the echo of her own heartbeat in the silence that followed, and suddenly, she felt eyes upon her. James stood in the doorway, a heavy presence that both comforted and confused her. Was he really here to help, or had he shown up for some other reason? Just as she began to assess the man's condition, the door swung wide. A chorus of footsteps echoed just outside, breaking her concentration. What is happening? A group of people, neighbors it seemed, had gathered, drawn in by the commotion. Their curious glances mirrored the worry that hung thick in the room. Emily glanced around, feeling overwhelmed. She was a nurse, not a healer for the crowd. But what if this became more than just about one person? What if in this moment of crisis, she could find a way to bridge her struggle with a spark of hope? "Everyone, I need your help," she called out, daring to step into the whirlwind. And as she looked back to the man on the couch, she didn't know if she could rise to meet the demand of their expectations, but she felt the stirring of something more, a call to something greater than herself. How far could this surge of determination take her? And would she find more than just healing in these moments as the snow continued to swirl outside, locking the world in a frozen grip? The neighbors stepped into the room with tentative curiosity, their eyes darting nervously between the frail man and Emily. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heartbeat. It was an unfamiliar sensation, the need to act under such glaring scrutiny, but she had to channel her energy into something productive. "Let us make space," she instructed, nudging the onlookers quietly. "I need some fresh air for him. Can someone open a window?" A woman in the crowd rushed to comply, her hands trembling. The old windows creaked open, letting in a gust of chilled air that lifted the tension just enough for Emily to think clearer. She promptly checked the man's pulse, her fingers brushing his wrist as she tried to ignore the flutter of worry in her stomach. "Just breath, sir," she murmured, scanning his face for signs of panic. "Can you tell me your name?" The man blinked slowly, confusion still clouding his thoughts. "David," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "I'm just tired." Emily pressed on. "David, how long have you been feeling this way?" The room quieted as everyone leaned in, eager to help yet unsure of how to intervene. The woman who had called for help stood frozen, her eyes wide with fear. Emily recognized the panic in her gaze and the protective instinct it sparked within her. "David, I need you to focus on my voice, okay? You're not alone, we'll figure this out." She glanced up at the neighbors, finding their worried expressions mirrored her own thoughts. "Could you two help me get a cold cloth? We need to cool him down." Two women stepped forward, their determination shining through the fear. "I can get ice." One piped up, rushing to the kitchen. "And I'll find a cloth," said the other, disappearing into the next room. With their support, Emily felt a flicker of hope. She stayed with David, coaching him through deep breaths while Jack and Lily held back, watching with wide eyes. Their concern for her was evident, but did they feel the weight of this moment? It was more than just helping one man, it was about finding strength in vulnerability. As the first woman returned, a towel soaked with cold water in hand, Emily took it gratefully. She placed the cloth against David's forehead. The neighbors began to murmur among themselves, the air crackling with tension and anticipation. It was as if they had all vowed silently to fight alongside her. "I think he's coming around," the ice-fetching woman said softly, watching as David's breathing became steadier. "You're doing great, Emily. Just keep talking to him." "David, tell me about something you love," Emily urged, her voice steady. "Your favorite place to visit?" His gaze flickered as memories danced across his features. "The lake. I loved going fishing with my boys, then let us get you back there," Emily encouraged, squeezing his hand gently. "Just focus on that." For a moment, it felt like the frenzy of a rescue was turning into a gentle exploration of shared stories and hopes, binding the neighbors together in a way Emily hadn't anticipated. She could see the worry easing, replaced with an unexpected camaraderie. But then the door swung wide again. This time, it wasn't just neighbors. A paramedic, heavy with gear and urgency, dashed in. But instead of relief, something tightened in Emily's chest. Would their presence undermine everything she'd worked through in those moments? "Step aside, I'm here to help," the medic announced, his confidence unmistakable. Emily hesitated, a whirlwind of emotions for her simmering within her. Part of her ached to hold on to the momentum they had built, while another part understood the necessity of professional help. And as she glanced at the faces around her, both relieved and confused, she felt a flame of resolve flicker back to life. Could the connections she was building here mean something greater? Could she step back and still be part of something transformative? In the urgency of the moment, she found herself grappling with her identity more than a nurse. She was a thread weaving this unexpected tapestry of hope. But as the medic began assessing David, wouldn't everything pivot on whether she could let go just enough to allow others in? What if she could emerge not just as a healer, but as an integral piece of this town's fabric? But could she trust others to hold her space when her heart felt so exposed? Emily stepped aside only slightly, her heart racing as the paramedic knelt by David. She felt her role slipping away, like grains of sand through her fingers. She wanted to stay, to be the one to anchor David in this storm of uncertainty, yet she knew there were boundaries in this moment that had to be respected. As the medic began his assessment, Emily felt herself withdrawing, her words suddenly feeling inadequate. She could hear the murmurs of the neighbors, the low buzz of concern still filling the room, but they began to merge into a background noise that she struggled to separate from her thoughts. The paramedic's professionalism sparked something in her. David was still in a vulnerable place, and if the medic's experience could bring him back to life, then Emily would gladly step just a bit further back. But it didn't ease the tightness in her chest. "Just stay with me, David," the paramedic said, his voice steady and grounded. "We're going to take care of you." Emily caught sight of Jack and Lily, the fear lingering in their innocent eyes. She forced a smile, trying to project calmness, though inside, she was at war with herself. Was she really just a spectator now? "Is he going to be okay?" Lily whispered, stepping closer to the scene, her small frame shielding a quake of vulnerability. Emily knelt down beside them, taking their hands in hers. "He just needs some help. And he's got it, thanks to everyone here." Their fingers intertwined, forming a small, tentative chain of support. It was strange how the simple act of holding hands could soften the blows of uncertainty, weaving their concern together like a fragile thread. She watched as the paramedic worked, every movement deliberate and practiced. "What did you say your name was again?" he asked David gently, almost like chaffing him back into the present. "David," he replied, voice a little stronger now. I'm here." The medic nodded, moving deftly, injecting confidence into the room. Emily felt the tension start to lift just a bit, her heart beating closely in sync with David's renewed steadiness. Maybe she could trust the process. Maybe this was a step toward not just healing David, but also bringing the community together. The neighbors had moved closer, their collective breaths sharing the moment, standing on the precipice between fear and hope. Emily glanced around the room, feeling a flicker of gratitude for this shared human experience that had unfolded. They were there, shoulder to shoulder, hearts beating in unison. As he began to stabilize, David turned towards Emily, those weary eyes now searching for her comfort. "Thank you for staying with me," he said quietly. Tears pricked at the corner of Emily's eyes, a rush of warmth igniting in her chest. "You're not alone, David. Not anymore." But before she could say more, the medic's voice cut through. "We're going to get you up now, David. You will feel better." With a few careful motions, the team lifted David onto a stretcher, the flow of urgency smoothing out into a more manageable rhythm. Emily felt a sense of relief washing over her, recognizing that she didn't have to hold everything together alone. This heavy burden was shared. As they moved David towards the door, Emily felt a piece of herself shift. Perhaps stepping back didn't mean disappearing, it meant allowing others to join her in the act of caring. But as she took a step outside to give them space, a voice behind her froze her in place. "Emily, wait. We need to talk." It was one of her neighbors, the one who had rushed to find the cloth. She had an urgency in her stance that pulled at Emily's curiosity. What could possibly come next? Emily turned, torn between wanting to follow the stretcher out the door and the call from her neighbor. The feeling of something significant lingering in the air weighed heavily on her heart. "What is it?" she asked, drawing closer. "We need your help," the neighbor, a kind woman named Susan, said, glancing toward the doorway where David was being wheeled out. "After this, we want to start a support group. We've seen too many people like David, struggling quietly. We need someone like you to lead it, someone who understands." Emily's breath caught in her throat. "Let a support group?" Her mind spun with emotion. Just moments ago, she had felt so small, submerged in worries of inadequacy. Now, an opportunity was rising from the rubble of anxiety. The thought sent a thread of hope zipping through her. "Yes. You have a gift, Emily. Your compassion brought everyone here together tonight. I've seen it in your work at the clinic. We've been discussing how the community could use someone who connects so deeply," Susan urged, her eyes shining with sincerity. Yet doubts began to seep in. "But I'm just a nurse. I can't be a leader. What if I fail?" Susan stepped closer, placing a reassuring hand on her arm. "You're already leading. Just by being here. This is your chance to inspire others just like you did tonight. You don't have to carry it all alone." Her heart began to swell, warmth spreading through her veins. Was this it? After so many years hidden in the shadows of her own life, could she truly step into the light? Just then, Jack approached, having overheard their exchange. "Emily, I think you should do it," he said, his eyes earnest. "You have the passion. Look how you brought people together in that moment. Community matters, and you seem to ignite it wherever you go." "Yeah. You're amazing," Lily added, her youthful enthusiasm bubbling over. "You have this strength, embrace it." As Emily looked at their faces, filled with trust and admiration, it stirred something deep within her. Those words echoed like a beautiful symphony of encouragement. She could feel her heart collide with a new sense of purpose. The weight she usually bore felt lighter, as if it was being combined with the aspirations of a community ready to rise. This was not just her fight anymore. As the sound of the ambulance faded into the night, she took a deep breath and sat down for a moment on the steps of the home. "All right," she said slowly, allowing the reality of it to wash over her. "Let us get together and start this group. Together." The gathered neighbors erupted in cheers, a wave of warmth and support filling the chilly air. Those who had previously stood in the back, holding fear in their eyes, stepped forward, ready to join hands as they forged a new path together. The evening had transformed from chaos to connection, from loneliness to a united purpose. They shared stories and laughter, sketching plans while the snow continued to fall gently around them. Emily felt anchored in this moment, empowered by the realization that she didn't have to just survive, she could thrive alongside her neighbors and patients. As she looked around, her heart swelled with hope. The room now buzzed with conversation, the community resonating stronger than she ever expected. She wasn't just a nurse who cared, she was a beacon of light, a thread weaving warmth back into the fabric of the town, a woman cherished, seen, and ready to rise. With her heart mending, she turned to Jack, a smile breaking through her fear. "Thank you for believing in me." He grinned back, revealing a spark of admiration. "You did this, Emily. You turned cold into warmth. Just remember, you're not alone anymore." And as they moved forward, that sense of hope carried them all through the stillness of the winter night and into a vibrant dawn, the beginning of something beautiful. This was just the start. Together, they could create real change. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.